that people can have an active knowledge of which are speaking what content, because that kind of clarity is exactly what is needed for multimedia accessibility. Next slide. So as you can actually see, this will be the high level architecture of the system. So the front end is responsible for processing the local file content and modern file. Processing for transcription, speaker diaries, video description, using the same libraries previous slide. So next slide, please. So some of the challenges faced would be if I'm going to be having some content or maybe language or some kind of slang or any language, it is going to have a lot of word error rate. It actually reduces the accuracy, the transcription process. This is actually a significant barrier for someone who is actually reliant on the transcription to understand what is being said at the moment. So the other challenge would be the computational process. It's like very expensive to do all of these operations globally, despite all the and the other thing will be for Indian languages, most of the models actually have a lot of word error rate, around 170%, if I'm right, for Hindi and for some it's not equivalent. That Okay. Uh, so that has been addressed by using fine-tuned models which translate with aims to report. So so yeah, I hope I'm audible. Yeah, so that is one of the barriers that I actually faced while developing this project. And apart from that, the video description itself is actually English only, which makes it harder for people who use vernacular language for understanding and processing content. So that is another accessibility barrier. I mean, it's like very funny saying that I'm actually developing something for accessibility. A lot of accessibility barriers while developing these things. And of course, like if the sample is going to be very noisy, has background noise or some kind of disturbance if you're in your content, it is going to have very poor transcription accuracy rate. So the next slide, please. So some of the plans that I have for this project include here is to improve the accuracy and reduce word error rates for non-Latin languages, especially Indian languages. The second one will be to use fine-tuned model and provide support for using fine-tuned model. So right now the platform actually supports this model for video description. Along with that, it supports OpenAI Whisper models by default. The thing is, it's not customizable right now. So if it is being made modular and extensible, it should actually provide a high accuracy for Indian languages. Is what my thought was. And the third thing is, the video description has to be multilingual. Again, this has to use the translation process, which can be done by a transformer. But thing is, for that to actually work, the translation itself it has to be accurate. We all know how Google Translate or any other kind of translation library still when we try to translate something from maybe English to Tamil or Tamil to English. So I not give any background about that. The next thing will be taking this as an SDK would actually make sense because multimedia accessibility will be seen as something that uses open source libraries or using proprietary SDKs like the ones offered by some cloud platforms, AWS. So that is some of the plans that I have for now. So I think I can take a few questions from you. Okay, you all are being very courteous of me. How to start? Yeah.
Hamburgers.
Yeah.
Will this work if like two or three people talking at the same time?
Two or three people talking.
Yeah, like a meeting or something like that.
Right now, suppose, but thing is we have to be more and more confident. That will reduce the fire of the guys.
Hello.
That's
Multilingual.
patterns. Yeah, it's about multilingual transcription. Actually, I tried transcriptions of video with Japanese content along with English content. It did the transcription already. It's because of the slides.
How long does it take for a 5 minute video?
5 minute video takes from 45 seconds.
40 minutes.
Yeah. 40 minutes. Yeah, honestly, I have it configured to use Luna, and it took 45 seconds when I used Whisper it. And when I used OpenAI Whisper as it took 1 minute and 45 seconds. It was, yeah, the older one, which was actually a medium performance. So that was good. Any other questions? Yeah.
Can this model distinguish the user's voice from what in the background?
So that is exactly what. In order to do the renovating library in order for the transcription to be accurate, that is something that I'm working on.
So Microsoft Suite is having an AI platform for this transcription model. That is very each individual speakers over there. How different is your model from this?
So that's exactly what speaker direction what I intend to do. The thing is speaker direction how independently of the transcription itself and the transcription results and direction results get start so that the content is provided Microsoft and GCP AWS not moved a very decent law identify the speakers if you configure it to be that but the thing is, it comes to the cost of privacy, freedom, and too much of stock cost. Any other questions?
Does it support any like? Is there any form supports all video conference?
Yeah, it supports all video calling. The thing is, I'm sure that the platform should be open. So it should be supporting all kind of media formats, while internal conversion of media happens via MFA. Yeah, because for the direction to actually work, it has to be in raw format. You have to extract video as audio content and provide that as an input for processing. It will be abstracted from the user, but internally this processing happens, which means that there will be some amount of loss, but they also stay integrated. I haven't encountered any major result or money.
What would be the output format? So what would be like for accessibility? Is there any particular format in which the output we get the output?
For accessibility, I think just integrating the output to the user and providing them a way to import the content of browsers will actually be helpful. Something like XRP,
Right now, what is the output?
right now, it just gets stored and I'm working on supporting web API.
Can you see a demo?
Demos actually on Twitter, like I have a screenshot available and I know how possible it is.
Maybe you can show us a screenshot of the application.
The thing is, I don't intend to compete with everyone. The thing is, I aim to be accurate and provide message for people who actually have difficulties in navigating the web. I have very told that the platform is global, in the sense that it uses global LLM system cloud and SDKs, which is very cost efficient cost point of view, and it also ensures privacy that is point of view. And the platform itself is accessible in the sense that I have tested it whether I'm WPA 2.1 compliant, which is the standard that most of the applications and is trying for, only when they get the regulation. Because without that, we don't actually think
Well for the particular like be capable to handle the high performance of the
exactly. Exactly.
Then only we can
Exactly.
it would be restricting the number of users, right?
Yes, that is exactly why I'm using Whisper because it supports CPU. I actually have a system with CPU, no GPU. Now, the performance is very optimal. So that is how I actually derive into the this part. And I think that most of us use 64-bit processors, so I don't think it should be different for the transmission or anything.
And that's true, but the low video content is like
Yeah, exactly. For the if the video content is going to be high, still will completely be non segments that have to be translated. That is going that completely depends on exactly. So one thing that I have been experimenting for that was party pipeline that helps in batch processing and transcription process. But the thing is with batch processing, several things and shapes that we left out. So a lot of segments don't get transcription at all. So I was trying to work on identifying what the exposure is. Yes.
So, let's take this scenario where lectures, online lectures are being transferred. Or transfer in the sense of lectures to, this is only text to audio to text. What you are doing?
So I can't check your video comment.
Speech to text. Speech to text.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's take the scenario where we are permitting let's say there is a lecture complex five lecture, and it's been lectured on stage. So let's say the professor wants to add to someone who's conversed in some other subject. So at that, so let's say at that point, the normal process is will be transcribing normal audio from static file or with the timestamps. Then back will be using another model or similar APIs to transcribe the text back to another language and back to the audio rate. So that's the overall.
Description is something that I'm working on and that would require more research because I am already doing this transcriptions they are going to be multilingual, it will have a lot of different issues. But the thing is, OpenAI system already supports multilingual detection video. So if the same video there is going to be content for English and Japanese and Hindi, it will be detecting all those three languages. So, have to be converting. But your use case, if I have gotten it correct, there is someone who actually has the content in English, but the person who they are delivering with Hindi speaker. So how will the transcription actually happen? It will happen in English, the transcription itself. For translation, there will have to be another API that actually is included.
Okay, because the common problem, not many used to work on this, I just helped him. So problem was that let's take somebody else working on something like differential equations or potential energy or something. So when we are when an actual lecturer understands a particular subject, I'm not talking about the bilingual part, multilingual part. If he if he is able to translate in another way, he will be transcribed in a much more way. But when he used the whisper, a normal whisper, and he used the other APIs, I guess it's Server API. I think India is the only like ChatGPT. He had a constraint to use that. So basically, he did that. But the output was fine. But the thing was that the exact thing was not being conveyed correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the one of the challenges you face here.
That is an industrial problem, I would say.
Okay. That's good. Any other questions?
So yeah, this was, I would like to download a Japanese video from YouTube, and I was trying to get the translation for seeing if it actually work for multi-business support. For this video, it has a mix of Japanese and English, so both of them actually get detected accurately for statements that has the language. So, well, so any of these things are actually interesting for you, or if you would like to work on accessibility and help with mentoring people with disabilities, or people from underrepresented piece of you can scan this QR, which will link to the website where you can see what kind of work we are doing, and our matrix group where we have all the communities development, events, and a lot of other stuff. You can check out our GitHub for more of the projects and much.
How they can contribute to it, like which are the parts of it? They get example, explore on this project.
Yeah, exactly. There is Google Internet Code that is happening by Drupal ID Kalyani. So I have been a mentor for this project. So I will be creating more issues on GitHub that people can actually pick up on and work, so that there is a lot of scope of improvement in the implemented project. So please keep a tab of our GitHub for more improvement.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kirtana. So next we have Vikas, who's going to present about AWS, an alternative to AWS. Okay, like a mini version of AWS. Thank you. Let's see. So, I am Vikas, and I am the developer of AWS. I shouldn't say I am a founder of AWS because I didn't find anything. I am a developer, more of a tech enthusiast. Maintain. Okay, maintainer or whatever the word for it is. Okay. So first of all, let me introduce myself. I am Vikas, and to say something about me, I just love tech. I just love computers. I just love how computers look behind the scenes. I just want to dig deep into it and see how everything works layer by layer. So that's the whole idea behind AWS. The reason I picked up AWS and I chose to build it is that opened up a lot of opportunity for me to understand how computers work in a lot more sense, and how the networking work in a lot more sense. And that's the main reason for me personally. But for the college, the main goal or the main motive behind AWS is I have been chosen as the vice president for my college cloud. Okay, this is the introduction page. So before that, let me give you a short disclaimer. The designs you're going to see in the PPT is going to be so bad. It's because I suck at designs, okay? I don't know CSS. I don't know any design. I haven't done any designs in my entire life. So the upcoming slides are going to be so bad. Okay, so next slide. Yeah, so this is the reason, right? I have been chosen as the vice president for my college cloud club, and I have to do something different because everybody, every club, every other clubs, like what they do is hackathon, idea, that's it. The only motive of other clubs is conducting a hackathon, conducting an idea. But no clubs have built something useful for the college or for the students. So what I decided is, I don't know about Tier 2 or Tier 1 college, I'm from Tier 3 college. So in Tier 3 college, students have little to no exposure to cloud computing. And if they want to learn about it, they have to pay for AWS. If they do something bad, AWS will score sky high. So they want to learn to use cloud computing. They want to know how to post apps to the internet in a safe way, in a safe environment. So I built a private cloud, a private open source cloud, just like AWS. Not every services of AWS, but like a mini version of AWS, right? And this is open source, so that I can post it to the college server and students can use it. So this is the main purpose of it. So let's now see what AWS offers. When we think of cloud, the first main thing we think is virtual machines, right? We basically virtual machine, we use it, we do something with it. So, but right here I have used LXC. LXC is the container which is of the system level. The reason I chose a container is because if I give every student a VM, the resource is going to be so high. Every VM has to have its own kernel, and the kernel size is too huge, and the college server is very, some colleges may have very little resources, some colleges may have high resources. Depends. So students, right, they can use LXC. It is kind of a VM, it can simulate a VM, but not really a VM, it's container, but still, it feels like a VM, that's what we need, right? So the next thing is, we have pre-managed like the services like PostgreSQL, like just like AWS having RDBMS, we have PostgreSQL. And this is one of the most important features that students actually like. If they want to post an application to the internet with HTTPS, with SSL, they just have a button, that's it. Their application is posted to the internet within a fraction of a second. And the next thing is VPN. Every basic instances, every containers is basically secured by a VPN. No instances is exposed to the public because we don't have enough money to buy every public IP addresses. That's one reason. And another reason is students' containers should not be exposed to the public unless and until they want to single-click post their application, their service to the internet. And the next thing is this is like the upcoming, which is the tunnels. If you have used Notepad tunnels, have anybody used Notepad tunnels? So that's one concept I am trying to implement it right now. So this is the whole picture of AWS. Next. So, like, first of all, let's understand why I chose LXC, right? I basically said why I chose LXC over VM because VM is resource heavy, resource hungry. I cannot use VM for student containers, like for the student things. So I chose a containerized version of the like the version of instance. I could have chosen Docker. Why did I choose LXC? Is very simple reason because Docker is an application level container. Like if you want to run Postgres, if you want to run Redis, it is an application level container which is mainly used to run an application in a containerized environment. But LXC here, it is the system container. It can mimic a VM. It feels like a VM so that the students can actually feel like they're using a VM, right? So this is the thing. And also in the container of LXC, basically tools like a PCI devices and GPU, but the Docker containers is very cumbersome. So so this is one of the reasons, right? Okay, now let's see the architecture, right? Like I said, the diagrams may be ugly, but let me just say. So a simple compute is every time, every load, like every task which is going to be heavy, which is going to be CPU hungry, or which is going to be a long-lived task. Okay, put the message in the queue, let the consumer consume. So this is the thumb rule of it, and you all guys might have known about RabbitMQ message queues. Okay, so if a student wants to start a container, it's a heavy task. So they basically put the event to the queue, and the server will basically consume the messages from the queue. And these are the worker nodes. Right? So these are the threads or the coroutines or whatever you want to call it according to the language level. These are the background workers. work on spinning up the VM or basically deleting the VM or whatever the heavy loading thing is. So this is the basic architecture of the deploying VM or anything that is related to heavy computational task. So, RabbitMQ is one niche thing because I don't know if you guys know, but have anybody used RabbitMQ here? So this RabbitMQ has this concept called channels. So the TCP, the TCP connection is the basic underlying thing. On top of that, it has like the logical channels in which the actual connections or the queues go through. The thing is, channels are not thread safe. So if two go teams or two threads access the same channel, we may get the race condition, right? So this is one thing that I had made a pool, which is a channel pool. I wrote a custom pool in which for every action you can take a channel, do the action, put the channel in the queue, then that's it. We don't have to deal with this problem. So that's one thing about Raptor. And yeah, for the failovers, we have two queues, the main queue and the retry queue. If something fails in the main queue, it goes to the retry queue. And after some time, after the TTL expires, it comes back to the main queue, and this process goes on. Certain securely use capital Q in the shop. Okay, so this is something interesting, right? So every LXC containers, every instances need an IP address, right? A private IP address. So let's say my subnet is /8, which is 16 million host IP addresses. So to allocate an IP for the LXC container, if I have to loop through all the 16 million to find a free one, that is too time. It is an O of n operation. Basically, there is an optimal version to O of 1. So even if the subnet is 16 million or even more than that or whatever, no matter how big the subnet is, if you ask for a free IP, it will provide you the free IP in O of 1 time. So this may sound weird, but let's see the architecture. So okay, see the actual logic behind it is very simple. Okay, so whenever basically releases the IP address, we save that to a stack. And the next time a new user comes in and basically asks for an IP, we check if there is any free IP in the stack. If there is, we just pop it up. So this is the overview of how this overall might be done, right? So let's say we have a database, we have a table of all the IPs. Those cases looking for all the IPs you don't want to do that. Instead of that, if the user basically releases IP, he shows that IP to a stack. And if a new user comes in and asks for their new IP, like first we check the stack if there is some IP address. If there is, we pop out of it. If there is not, we will go through the database and find the largest IP and plus one, which is the new IP. Makes sense? This may sound boring because the architecture stuff and system design stuff is boring. Okay, then the next slide. Okay, so if the IP is not in the stack, we have to go through the database, the tables, and we have to make an order by query, descending order to find the largest IP. Take that plus one, that's your new IP, right? Sounds simple? No. So if you store IP in this format, a string format, how do you plus this? 10.0.0.1 plus 1, what's it? 10.0.0.11? That doesn't make any sense. So how would you sort a column in a table when you store the IP addresses in this format? So that's not possible. So what else do we need to do is store the IP addresses in a numeric format. So if this is the 1, store the numeric value 1. If 10.0.0.2, store 2. If 255, store 255. If it is 256, then the object goes to 1. Does this make any sense? Okay. So now what we are supposed to do is, You don't have to store the literal string in the table. You have to store this number. And when you do and now when you sort by the descending order, you can easily get the largest number. And if you plus 1, you will get 257. And what is 257? 10.0.0.1. And you get a free IP in O of 1 time. So before that, we will basically check the stack. If there is any IP in the stack, then you get a free IP. If not, do a query in the database, do a sort of the numbers, do a plus 1, and basically, and then change that to the string. That's your IP. Right. Next slide. So now, right, this also has a problem. When you do a database descending order sort, it's O of n, right? It's not going to be magically sorted in O of 1 thing. Even if you do order by, it's going to be O of n. So to optimize this, we have to do some query optimization, which is we have to index the column which stores the IP addresses, and the index basically creates a B plus tree. B plus tree in the sense that left side is all small, right side is all large. And now if we do an order by, and this limit 1, it automatically goes to the rightmost leaf node and takes the IP, which is guaranteed to be the largest one. Make sense? So now this query order by went from O of n to O of 1. So this is one query optimization that we have to do in the database level to make this whole IP allocator O of 1. So this is the architecture system of the IP allocator that I used. Does this make any sense, or do you have any doubts? Thanks. Okay, this is the screenshot. See, the design is so beautiful, right? Yeah, basically I did do it. I gave it to DeepSeek, and DeepSeek basically did all the design thanks to DeepSeek. So you can deploy, which is start a new VM or like on a thing. If you kill, it basically kills the container. If you stop, so it just stops the container. And something that opens VS Code in your browser, no, not your local VS Code. This machine's VS Code in the browser, right? So either you can do an SSH and go into the machine, or you can just click it and just open the VS Code in the browser of the machine. So that's one thing. So now VPN, let's talk about. So like anybody have any experience in VPN? Okay, nice. So yeah, so VPN is basically nothing but in my point of view, it's an encapsulated packet that goes into a different virtual interface. That's it. That's the entire concept of VPN. Nothing else. So let's say your laptop has this physical Ethernet port. It's called ETH0, generally ETH0, right? It's your physical port. And when you install a VPN, like let's say the thing I have used here is WireGuard. WireGuard, what it does is it creates a virtual, it creates a virtual interface. ETH0 is a physical interface, and the WireGuard creates a virtual interface. And the thing is, so the thing is, you have something called allowed IPs. This is the field that we have to set in the VPN configuration. So the allowed IPs, what it does is, if any request goes to this range of IP addresses, push to the WireGuard interface and make all the requests go through the WireGuard channel. Okay. So this is kind of like a split version of VPN. Not every request goes into the VPN. Only the IP address range that is listed in this allowed IP range will go through the VPN, will go through the virtual interface that I have just said. Right? So the virtual interface is nothing but a virtual version of a physical interface. It's the same in the kernel level, but ETH0 is physical, WG0 is virtual. So every time you make a request to this range of IP, basically the WireGuard kernel module, what it does is it captures all the packets. It basically do all the encapsulations and pushes it through the WG virtual interface. And the destination, when it sees this is the range, it will again capture all the packets from the virtual interface and it decapsulates, and then it does its thing. So VPN is nothing but an encapsulated, encrypted private tunnel, which has a virtual interface, which is different from UDP. That's the basic thing. So this is like the sample configuration. You have your public key, you have your private key, and see, this is what I said. Interface, WG0, right? This is a virtual interface that your wireguard will automatically create and push all your packets to this interface, so that it knows that these packets belong to the VPN connection and things have to be done differently to the packets that are coming from this virtual interface. That's exactly what we are going to see next about the IP tables. So have anyone here used IP tables? Okay, so IP tables is nothing but Linux level firewall. Okay, so Linux level firewall in the sense which packets needs to be logged, which packets needs to be forwarded, which packets. So you control all the layer 3 protocol, the IP protocol. You control all the IP packets through this IP table rules. IP table is a table. It has many tables, and the table we are going to concentrate here is a filter table. Filter table is the default table that every packet must go through. Nice. And the filter table has two chains, input chain and forward chain. See, I cannot explain everything here. If I did, it will go like 2 hours or 3 hours. But input chain is basically the host itself, the host IP address. If you have like 192.168.0.1, which is assigned to the host of your machine, then that IP is called the host IP. If you have a Docker bridge, the bridge is like a virtual switch. And when the Docker containers basically connect to the Docker bridge, the Docker containers have an IP address. That's not the host IP. That's the IP of the container that's connected to the bridge. So it may confuse. If I don't show the demo, most probably you won't understand. But host IP is different from the Docker containers IP because Docker containers have a very different IPs than host IP. So we are going to use the concept of IP tables to control the VPN packets. That's what we are going to do, right? So, okay. The thing is, your LXC containers, your instances will be in a bridge. A bridge is a virtual switch. So, we need to control what packets need to enter the bridge and what packets need not to be entered to the bridge. So, with that, we can do, let's say this is the bridge and these are your containers, right? So, this is the forward chain. And whenever a packet from the WGO interface, which is the wireguard interface, enters this forward chain, please accept it to the bridge. If any other packet coming from a different interface, reject it. So this is the basic IP table rule that I follow to control the packets that enter the bridge network to access all the machines, right? So have anyone ever heard about the bridge network and dive deep into how it works? Nice. So like you might have understood what I'm saying. So many of I have seen many of people confusing bridge networks with the concept of routers. Routers are not bridges. Bridges are L2 switches, a virtual switch, right? So okay. If I talk about it, it will like I won't go so much time explaining. Yeah, so like I said, if it's coming from WGO, if the packets come from WGO, if it's going into the bridge, accept. If the packets are coming from anywhere else, reject. Simple. And also, if it's coming from WGO and going to the host interface, which is the host machine's IP address, reject it. Because if I accept it, they may access SSH of the host machine itself. I don't want them to access the host machine's any services. They the only access the users have is that bridge and not the host machine itself. So what I'm going to do is, if any packets coming from the WGO, and it tries to access the host interface, which is the ETH0, rejected. So this is the forward chain, this is the input chain. The chain differs. Input chain is the host interface, forward chain is the other interfaces. Okay, next slide. And yeah, again, this is the UI. You just have to give your public key and add a device, and this will say the status if you are connected or not. Okay, very simple. And behind this is the entire networking logic, which I have just explained, and this is the UI. And the self-managed services, right? PostgreSQL. And like I said, PostgreSQL needs to be in a Docker container because it's an application level thing. So Postgres needs to be in a Docker container. But here is the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge ever in this entire project is Postgres is in a Docker container. Users think are in the Galaxy container. This is different. This is different. So how do they both communicate? Because LXC is in a different bridge, Docker is in a different bridge. How do they both communicate? Because the users, they have to use this thing, right? They are in the LXC containers, but they have to they have to access the Docker containers that is running the services. How do they do it? So for that we need to understand how containers work. Next slide. So how containers really work? I think many of you here might have no.
Containers basically display systems. Everything is combined systems. If you combine, as you simple concept, containers will just create a parent ID to child ID.
Yes.
That's the concept. As for if you can optimize containers in a very manner. Like there are many optimization levels are there. Docker was somewhat they add similar CLI, so it's somewhat heavy over there. But you can create a one container. It's not standard support. So just to I need to add the like I think clone into your namespace resource plus exe, and you can run your application in the container space.
Yeah. So you just have to know what does this call the colors we get. So making that like not that big of a deal, and we can easily do it. And that's the whole purpose, like the whole idea behind the containers is the Linux basically about it. Without the kernel's support, containers are not possible. The kernel supports it, and because
The
of
kernel is
that,
the concept.
yeah,
Within the user and the kernel space. So it just kind of trick. I think the concept is used way back 2004. It was used by some firms, but later it has evolved. Back I think later 2010 I think it was evolved. That's it.
So yeah, for those who are not sure about how containers work and what containers are, that is namespace. Just think of it like an isolated environment, right? Isolated in the sense that the namespace process has a different set of process IDs, have a different set of interfaces, have a different set of everything, right? We can tweak this in the system call level, like we said, but in a general sense, namespaces are an isolated environment where everything is isolated and not mingled with the host namespace. So what we're going to do is, right, the namespace, the Docker namespace and the LXC namespace have their own isolated interface. We're just going to connect it, that's it, using a virtual Ethernet. Yes, basically the kernel supports the concept called a virtual Ethernet. It's like a virtual Ethernet cable, if you want to think about it like that way. So it's called WET in short. With this virtual Ethernet can be used to connect your namespace to the bridge of the host namespace. So that's why I can show you a diagram. Next. So as you can see, this is the Docker containers namespace. Okay, this is the Docker container. This is the LXC bridge, right? The bridge is in the host namespace. There are two namespaces, your host namespace and the Docker containers namespace. And here you have your virtual Ethernet inside the Docker namespace. And this is the virtual cable. All you have to do is the virtual Ethernet has two pairs. One pair which has two ends. The one end is connected to the namespace's interface, and the other end is connected to the bridge. Like I said, bridge is a switch. Think of it like the physical sense. Think like think everything in a physical sense, it will make a lot of sense. Which is the switch, this is the cable, this is the machine. This is the port, you connect to the port, and you basically attach it to the switch, and that's it. Now your Docker container can talk to the NXC. So everything in a physical sense can be translated to the virtual sense in the next container.
Like if you are using DF, there will be a virtual ID integrated. So in DF, they will have a private virtual ID. By the virtual ID, you can just connect it. Like if you expect the virtual ID, it will be so.
Yeah.
Use VF, both of them know the VF model. So if you say it's a virtual ID, and basically the bridge, they will use bridge in a documentation matter. There is a foreign issue because I think there's a biggest exterior collision between what is the bridge and switch. If you read the way in the book, and then there is this bridge now. Bridge is in documentation they will mention as a bridge. In physical they will mention as switch or
Yeah.
So
like actually, also in the physical sense, bridge and switch are totally different. Kind of different, but they are not the same in the physical sense. Yeah.
Someone is I should be mentioning. Okay.
Yeah, but in a general sense, just assume that bridge is equal to switch, and so that will make a lot of sense. So virtually, like the virtual cable, virtual. So yeah, this is the whole concept. Okay. Yeah, I can understand this is so boring because the networking and the I can understand. Okay, next slide. Yeah, again, this is the user interface. Very nice. Every service has an IP address. You can also port forward. I have a managed DNS server in the thing so that you can also access the services using the host name also. Yeah. Yeah, so the single click hosting is very simple. You just have to buy a white cell. That's it. That's the whole concept. That's the whole idea of the single click hosting. So what the user give the domain name and he will give the code to expose. Those are the two fields that the user needs to fill in. After that, the user clicks the button, and just like that, the application will be hosted to the internet with the SSL certificate. So let's see how this works because it is very easy. So the things we will see are wildcard domain. Everybody knows what's a wildcard domain, and the wildcard SSL using the DNS challenge. Have anybody seen the DNS challenge? So now let's see what this actually is because it is very simple and it is very useful. And Nginx configurations and the Nginx reload is okay. So let's see the wildcard. Next slide. The domain is nothing but star. This is the subdomain. The subdomain can be anything following by the main domain. That's the wildcard. So this is small star is the wildcard, and this is the concept of wildcard domains. And now let's see how to buy wildcard SSL cert so that it will actually work. So if I buy the SSL certificate for just this domain, this wouldn't work. Let's say if I buy an SSL certificate for the domain called a.com, let's say a.com. Example.a.com will work. The browser will shout at you saying that it is very that it is not secure. I cannot basically trust the cert. So we need to buy something that also includes the wildcard, so that the certificate authority, the CA, will sign the certificate including the wildcard, so that your browser and the OS trusts all the wildcard domains. Right? Let's see how the DNS challenge works. So the DNS 01 challenge is nothing but a challenge created by the certificate authority. Let's encrypt. The famous thing is Let's encrypt is a certificate authority, and he challenges you to prove that you own the domain. If you have the domain called example.com, you need to prove him that you own the domain. So there are two challenges that the CA will make to you to prove that you own the domain, and one of them is DNS 01. Because this DNS 01 is the only challenge that has the capability to include the wildcard SSL. The other challenge cannot include the wildcard SSL, so we need to go with this to get the certificate for the wildcard SSL. So the DNS01 challenge is very simple. Your domain lives in the name server, let's say Cloudflare, okay, because the Cloudflare supports this DNS1 challenge. Your domain is in the name server, and basically what you have to do is the CA will give you a token, right? The CA, let's say the Let's Encrypt will give you a token. You have to paste the token into the DNS TXT record, so that the CA will query the DNS to see if the token is that. If it is that, well then you own the domain. So this is the whole process. I think I have a diagram. Yeah. So Let's Encrypt will give you a token. I think the token is not here, but this will give you a token. As a client is to take the token, put it in your DNS record, so that the next time this guy requests the DNS server, it checks if that's the token. If that's the token, then you own the domain. This is the entire concept of DNS challenge. So that this CA will sign you the certificate with a wildcard, and you can use the certificate to, use it in your Nginx configurations. Okay, next slide. So the result, now if you open this subdomain.example.com, it will work, and your browser will not show to say that it is insecure. Next slide. So now Nginx configurations, as you all know, we just have to have the server name and the IP address where it points to, the whole configuration. You all know this is not magic. Next slide. So this is the interface. You have to give a domain name and which port to export. Add domain, done. Within a fraction of a second, you don't have to worry about the DNS, you don't have to worry about SSL, nothing. Domain name, go to export, add domain, done. So this is the whole concept of this domain and the instances, or all this combined to this one single page. Next slide. So this is the configuration example. So like I said, this is the server name and your private key, full chain key, and this is the internal IP address of your container, and that's it. So when a request comes to your Nginx, let's say api.example.com, it goes to your container, your instance, and that response will be taken to Nginx and to your browser. So this is the whole flow, and this is the entire architecture of this. And the upcoming thing in KWS is tunnels. Tunnels is nothing. It's very simple to understand how tunnels work. So like instead of you listening, you make an outbound connection to a server. That's it. That's the one layer of how the tunnels work. If you use Cloudflare tunnels, you would make an outbound connection to the Cloudflare server. A daemon, I think the daemon name is Cloudflare. Anybody can get. So the daemon will basically make a long-lived request to the Cloudflare server. They have an outbound connection, long-lived connection, and every subsequent request will hit the Cloudflare server, and the Cloudflare server, as it has the outbound connection, it will make the thing to your server, and the process flows. Very simple concept to understand tunnels. This is not a magic, and this is what I'm working on right now. And yeah. So this is the client, and this is the long-lived, right? Your daemon sits here. Your daemon will basically make a long-lived connection to the Cloudflare server, and every time your client makes a GET request or any request, it basically hits the Cloudflare tunnel first, and this will make the request to your home laptop or whatever, and this flow again goes through and basically comes through here. This is like the reverse process of the typical flow. It's like basically instead of your laptop listening, you make the code connection. That's the whole concept of this. So like, okay, fun fact, so this is the entire thing, a senior software engineer at Akamai saw my work and he gave an internship opportunity as a platform engineer. No interviews, nothing. Not at Akamai, but at the startup he has. So with this KWS, I got an internship as a platform engineer, and I'm learning a lot there without any interviews or nothing. Okay, so this fun fact, and the next fun fact is I did all this under 30 days. This I still cannot believe how much work I did. I did zero procrastination. I never procrastinated at all. I will basically used to work up until like 4 a.m. in the morning every single day for 30 days. So I still, I'm still jealous of that old version of me because he did all this in like 30 days and basically proud of him also. Yeah, thank you, I guess. So I think this is too much to take at once. The information is a lot. Have anybody felt this way here? No? Is that nice? That's nice. So there's a lot of technical concepts. And also this is my first time speaking in a conference or in like on a meetup. I might have not explained some concepts properly. I don't know. Have anybody felt that way? It's good, okay. So yeah, so this is the entire architecture, the system design of AWS. If you look at other architectures in the code level about how the worker tools are created, how the code is being architected. That's a lot. So what I told here is the high level overview of how AWS is. If you dig deep, you can find a lot more information. And the thing I got out of is this project is so if you go to the GitHub repository, the last commit is maybe 1 month old. I am not actively committing to this thing because of other works. I have to basically assume my work there. And yeah, that's it. Thank you. I totally forgot about the questions. Anybody has questions?
Before you answer question, what is K in this database? It is
It's my knowledge.
You told us that VM was so slow, but there's a concept called a parallel VM or dynamic kernel. If you use it, it will be so much faster. It will be like a millisecond.
Okay.
So you try it out because the VM is so good, man. It will reduce your attack surface and everything. Like that is good, but if there was any model was failure in the kernel area, does it affecting another module? It will affect your optimization and it will affect your whole system.
Yeah.
Especially right now, like what is the parallel VM? Because now certain like switching to the private VM based upon their application. Like they will just get the VM based upon their service
serverless.
service, yeah, kind of.
So what he's trying to do is like take the Docker and put LXC container in this and match it with this bit to make it simple, simulate this environment within our system.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for the question.
That was really a very nice presentation.
Thank you.
So, I'm working at Rapid Cloud, where we are building something very similar to this in the open source. So, I would tell you can go and check about Fabric Press, which is like a very similar virtualization of all the containers and stuff. Like we also similarly, like how you use Fabric and we use RT workers to Python client of the registry and let's say it's for SSH. We use proxy SQL for SSH into this particular service. How you do using the IP table manipulation. So you can, like I think as it is open source, I can go and look into your code and see some of your good ideas, and you also can have a look into the other repositories and see some good ideas. That is the one thing that I'm going to tell you. The second thing is, I'm from Virudhunagar. I think you are from Virudhunagar and Commerce College. It is very good to see some
like as you told in the beginning, tier 3 college doing this sort of work. So I think as a background, your next batch of students.
That's the main challenge because I don't know how many will understand this entire architecture.
I don't think you should worry about that, but you start creating a lot of issues, lot of projects like that they can do, and suggest all your friends and your juniors and even seniors to suggest picking as their project for the final year or project for the college semester. Like that way, this could help for not only for the entire college, and that it would help them to get a job like how you got to
The HOD would need to support first of all. Our college HOD is no.
I think
They
you
have to put efforts into it.
you should take a story to Bangalore course, you can apply and you have to ask him to speak.
First of all, the HOD needs to understand this architecture.
You know about the architecture.
Think about your HOD, what others would do. Like, I think you should start talking create some small group of students who are interested at least to listen to you and start giving them a few smaller projects within your college. So this is going to percolate to so many other students at tier 3 and it will have a massive impact. Like I'm currently thinking, I'm like, why I didn't do any of these things that I'm doing now in my early days? Like why did it because we didn't have that exposure. But now you are studying in the college and doing this lot, I think this should also spread to your peers in the college.
Yeah, your blog is really good. I actually went through your slides yesterday and was trying to look into how it actually works. I would say that it's really awesome. I know self-hosting is here at and so thinking about having a platform which can allow you to self-host in a easier manner is something that's mind-blowing and will be really helpful for a lot of things. One thing that I would really tell apart from what Ram had told, in addition to creating issues, I think having a proper project documentation is also really important.
The documentation is very bad here. I didn't document anything.
Yeah.
I have to do it.
Actually, just having the proper
Yes.
not exactly that well. That is exactly the kind of work that I want to make at it.
I think I might give this to my juniors so that I can understand.
You have,
Yes.
that's why you can propagate, yeah. Slowly teach them how to contribute to the implementation.
Yeah.
Good thing.
Don't ignore documentation.
Yeah.
Because whatever you have gained, this is truly valuable for something. Want to build something meaningful in the future. Now, if you don't need any kind of help, like being a very open switch, you can always.
Sure. Right.
Hello.
Yeah.
If we want to self-process so college networks, how do we do it? Like, what are the things that you
The basic thing that you need is a publication. That is a must. And a proper documentation from your side. Okay, so that's it. The things. And it the minimum specs is, I think they ran this in a 2 GB RAM, I think in a VPS. It may handle about like 4 to 5 people in a 2 GB RAM VPS, but the more the better.
is there any specific configuration for like your specific college setup?
We have booted it with the box once. And I have created a private bridge for all the VMs and wrote the firewall rules for all of the private bridges. It's our own style, but like it's not a necessity to have a configuration. Like we can do what we do. Yeah,
Very nice.
things like that.
Any other questions? Any more to next? Okay, put your chip in languages. Okay. Available, no problem.
You talked about the idea of like more content in all content packages.
I have one doubt. Instead of storing the entire IP, let's say the stack is empty, so it will go to the database. The thing is, if you have indexes, it will reduce the rate. For each record, do you mark this IP as used or something like that? Like if it is popped from the stack.
Used or not used is entirely based on the stack. If it is in the stack, it is being using right now. Someone is, if it is in the stack, someone has been released. If it is in the database, someone is using right now.
Okay, okay.
The state is in the database itself. If the IP address is in the database, it is currently being used by someone. If it is in the stack, someone has released the IP. That's it.
Okay, someone has released, so you have to update the database, right?
I just have to delete the record. That's it. I have to basically, I just have to move the thing and I have to put it in the stack. If someone deletes, I have to delete the IP from the database and I have to put it in the stack. So the state maintains the database itself. The IP that is means that someone is basically using it.
So I said thank you for that. I want to say that this is a great project.
Thanks. Thank you.
Any other questions or can we move to next topic? Thank you, class. That was a nice talk because it was like first time. So we'll have a small talk about what they are doing and bring to actually, but yeah, chance to Java things will 2 minutes.
Hi everyone. I guess you guys have seen me from morning. I'm Rohit and I work at Washmark as the lead software engineer. So Washmark is an e-commerce platform, mostly of a retail, and it's one of the top leading retail platforms in the US. We are also there in Canada, and we are expanding globally. And this is just a small talk that we have openings and we are hiring in different roles such as engineering, DevOps, QA, security, and data. So if you guys are ever interested, you can just reach out to us here. Praveen from the HR team is here to assist you, or you can just email the HR team by sending your resume at hr@washmark.com. Please include FOSS in the subject so that we know that you are applying from here. And mainly, I think few of them are students here. So if you guys are final years, we are actively hiring for internship, which will get converted into job offers from active chat. So feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we already move for a quick break. We have maxed out by Postman. We'll come back again in
during the Zoho Q engine, that is the automation suite from Zoho. But generally, for a test management team, when they are doing multiple projects, we will need a test management software. They make all these cases and everything. The challenge is test init test trails are very expensive. They are even expensive than during more complicated software like that is $17 per user per month. So testing, but generally for test management team. So it's actually multiple projects. We need test management software. They what we thought was Claude itself the challenge is test init test trails are very expensive. They are even expensive. Why do we pay for these tools? More complicated Claude and all those $17 build our own tool. But generally for test management team, so it's actually multiple test management software. They what we started in October. Claude itself the challenge is test trails are very expensive. Why do we pay for these tools? More complicated Claude and all those $17 build our own tool. But generally for test management team, so it's actually multiple test management software. They what we started in October. Claude itself the challenge is
So this is the repository. So house of FOSS slash easy test. Going now you can see the code and how the workflow to be everything is like a streamlined. Both are actually very easy to sell both and you are looking for content like I said and users. So users take it.
I noticed you're using posters. So are you using any extensions with posters?
No,
Then we can check to explain it. It's more like
definition take it.
yeah.
No, no,
Then we can check to explain it. It's more like if I focus.
that can also be done.
I noticed you're using the goal here is that was not
Yeah.
take it
Lightweight.
multiple
Require multiple instances. No, no,
then we
yeah, SQLite.
it's more like
Early days, we wanted to make this an AI coding agent, kind of that model too. So for that, I think they used, they were planning using DT vector, lightweight for that. Require multiple instances. But no, I think that's all. We can add this guy SQLite and multiple databases. Someone wants to use Postgres, they can use Postgres or SQLite. Can add all those features. An AI coding agent, kind of that model too. So for that, I think they used, any other questions? Lightweight for that. Require multiple instances. But no, I think that's all. We can add this guy SQLite and multiple databases.
it's all open, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you are trying to bring in.
Can add all those features.
And you can explain like where does this testing cases sit between open source? Like what is testing in terms of open source?
I don't understand.
Where does this fits in open source ecosystem? Like why do we need this testing case?
There are many companies who use
Which are first to understand to make them understand what it is. Testing cases sit between open source. Like what is
like
testing in terms of
we have open source CRMs, open source ERP alternatives. There is no good test management alternative. We've searched, we've tried to use a few things, but testing test trails are the go-to tools, and it doesn't justify the amount they are charging for a glorified Excel sheet. So that's the whole idea of easy test. So that's where we think this like how we have plain for project management, an alternative to Jira. We have open projects. There is nothing in the market at the moment for test case management, and a lot of testing still happens on Excel, being maintained on Excel, and a lot of back and forth and developer times being lost due to communication and email attachments, all those things. So that's the thing. We had the problem. We've been using all these different tools. We want to solve for that. So that's the idea of easy test case management, and a lot of testing still happens on. Give you the keyword you want to scan the a lot of back and forth and developer times being lost.
making it easy to run the bug tracking?
Yes, with bug tracking. So that's the thing. We had the problem. We've been using all these different tools. We want to solve for. We are planning few other things also to add project management also within this easy projects. But right now the focus is more on completing the roadmap for this.
Making it easy to run the bug tracking.
Yes, with bug tracking. So that's the thing. We had the problem. We've been using all these different tools.
Any questions?
We are planning few other things also to add project management also within this easy projects. But right now the focus is more on
Even
completing
here
the
doesn't
roadmap.
understand something.
Yes, with bug tracking.
Let me take one minute.
Unlike Bugzilla, like many difference. Like Bugzilla ரொம்ப பழசு. So அது எங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப யார் என்ன பண்றாங்க. So like Mozilla இருந்து what like நான் Mozilla இருக்கிறாங்க. So what I did is
one thing, test cases and bugs is at the same place. Normal bug போட்ட உடனே developers will say நான் reproduce பண்ண முடியல, give me the steps அதெல்லாம். So இங்க you have complete traceability to the test case itself. So prerequisites என்ன post என்ன நடந்துச்சு அது எல்லாமே you have full track. So separate what is the USP na, there is nothing. The idea is a good solid open source alternative to these things, and it needs to be modern. You know, Bugzilla, like you said, Bugzilla, Redmine, and there are few things that we can use, but they are all very outdated and setup it's very complicated sometimes. So yeah. Separate what is the USP na, there is nothing.
There is another drama going on with this alternative. It's crazy, yeah, that but working tool released under OSAT license. They have the same setup of tax subscription model. There is some drama going on. Yes. Ruby on Rails inventor, he has that same project management tool called Flexi or something. I don't remember the name. He has released it under open source license made by himself called OSAT license.
OSAT we built a license.
Yeah, he has a license. For a SaaS subscription model open source platform.
Okay.
He has that same project management tool. He got some backlash. I don't remember the name. He has released it under
அவ்வளவுதானா? Any other questions? So use it, rate and let us know. Thank you so much. Okay. On the lightning talk, if someone is interested, please reach out to Shakil or Bhavna at the back.
Even want to even
Any other questions? So use it, rate and let us know. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Full talk. On the lightning talk, if someone is interested, please reach out to Shakil or Bhavna at the back.
even want to even
Any other questions? So use it, rate and let us know. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Full talk. On the lightning talk, if someone is interested, please reach out to Shakil or Bhavna at the back.
even want to even
Any other questions? So use it, rate and let us know. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Full talk. On the lightning talk, if someone is interested, please reach out to Shakil or Bhavna at the back.
even want to even
Any other questions? So use it, rate and let us know. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Full talk. On the lightning talk, if someone is interested, please reach out to Shakil or Bhavna at the back.
right answer. So you can make it interactive because licensing is a kind of complex topic. Almost on our body. So we can make this interactive talk. So before that, who are the students? Right answer. So you can make it interactive because licensing is a kind of complex topic. Almost on our body. So we can make this interactive. Open source. Open source. Yeah. Open source. Yeah. So it's the actual title of the talk. 50 shades of GPX. It's more than complicated thing. After I told to my friend, Macha, what did I talk rejected on first review? After I got something over and it's like, yeah. What is FOSS from the student side? FOSS number. It's the actual. Can you?
It is a free software. Basically, it will not collect the data and you can self-host it, and you cannot modify it and sell it privately. You should, if you are developing something from it, you have to give it as free and open.
What's your idea about the professionals? What are the free and open source
The
software?
free software basically
Can you
you
professionals?
collect the data
I'll say.
Yeah.
and you cannot modify it and sell it privately.
Knowledge is free for those who seek.
Yeah.
Free as in freedom that liberates you.
Yeah.
Knowledge liberates you.
Okay. So can you move next slide? What are the free and open source software?
The free software
Yeah. Free is equal to freedom. It's not because when I was asking to many of the guys around some different communities, they are like, free, no? It's giving free, less free. Just they are like free. The bio don't know like they are spreading us free software. So they are having biggest knowledge and biggest some like commercial products for free, not free. Like, okay, but they have some different wrongdoing. Tappana like they have illegal ways. So next slide. What is OS? OSS? OS and OSS. Yeah. Can you tell us free software? So they are having biggest knowledge and biggest some like commercial products for free, not free. Like, okay, but they have some different wrong. Next, OS like they have.
அவங்க ரிலேட்டிவ் லைசன்ஸையும் சப்போர்ட்
What is OS? OS
ஃப்ரீ
and
அண்ட் ஓப்பன் சோர்ஸ்னா ஃப்ரீடம் 4 ஃப்ரீடம் இருக்குல்ல ஸோ அதில் 2 ஃப்ரீடம் போனா கூட அவங்க அந்த சாஃப்ட்வேர் லைசன்சிங் அவங்க எலிஜிபிள் இருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
Next, yeah. OSS is managed by business terms. FOSS where OSS OSS. So it is purely managed by AWS, Meta, like many more companies over there. OSS where. So next slide. So what's the difference? FOSS and OSS. What's the difference? Can you have a guess? Say no problem. Say what's the difference? Purely managed by AWS. So next slide. Many more companies over there. Yeah. OSA where. So next FOSS is freedom. It only focus on the user freedom. It was introduced by HS Server. You are the all guys know. HS Server. I mean from so it's a very game. So FOSS is fully focused upon community like new legal software, many software over there. But OSS it's only they அவங்களுக்கு காசு வரும். Frankly told about OSS only they will say it's a better software. We will make better software everywhere. But they only their proven is making money. So OSI it's improves productivity, business driven. So it's differ. ரெண்டுமே வித்தியாசமா இருக்கும். ரெண்டே கூட கம்பேர் நீங்க me as having the confusion. What is FOSS and OSS so அவங்க நினைச்சிட்டு இருக்காங்க. They only they prove so OSS so it's possible. ரெண்டுமே வித்தியாசமா இருக்கும்.
While waste, so that's the concept. While waste there say you cannot tame it, domesticate it.
Can you because licensing is important, is it? What's your opinion? Like anyone can say licensing is important or not?
While waste,
why?
It is a pattern, right?
Other than
Cannot tame it.
entrepreneurs யாரெல்லாம் இருக்காங்க? Entrepreneurs are right now. I want to start a goal in the future. Who are the guys over here? Like anyone can say licensing is important or not? Try or not good. So there's a real story. When I was came across research with some of the couple of guys, I was speaking to a guy who is currently working in OpenAI. So when he was in his college time, he created a SaaS application created. So the SaaS application was so good. Its valuation was around $2.5 billion valuation. So he was searching for investment for another VC company. There are many firms, Series A funding. So at last he got a investing opportunity from VC. So Y company the investing partner. So let's say for SaaS application created. So the SaaS application was so good. The valuation was around. So what I was working on is like okay, now my business is gonna boom. Suddenly what the thing was happening funding. So at last he got a investing code audit பண்ண தொடங்கிட்டாங்க சார் நான். So இது like he is so என்னடா code audit பண்ண போறேன் எதுக்கு நான் code எல்லாம் clear documentation எல்லாம் போடுறேனே மறுபடியும் எதுக்கு நான் code audit கொடுக்கணும் அப்படினு he had a confusion. So later what happened he got email the morning of tomorrow he mentioned around 22 So, வருது உங்க இன்வெஸ்ட்மென்ட் கேன்சல் பண்ணிட்டோம். We can't invest you. So, it's like he's so license infringement. He used many dependencies, but he not mentioned a single dependencies in his laser report documentations. He will use many dependencies. So, he used n number of dependencies, and the code base was so large. So the investors told him, we can't invest in you. Because if it's going to commercialize, some companies will sue you and we can't pay dependencies. So he dropped the project. And this was so touching to me because 2.5 billion valuation for a company, like, then I came to know, okay, licensing is a big thing. So, and I asked some of the entrepreneurs who like incubators, I asked some of the guys who were there, do you have a licensing? They are like, I am bro. After all, they are but there's a side cost penalty. So the silent killer licensing is a attack when the developer is trying to stop you, they will target. They will check your code, like any licensing is called, like you get a dependency not a code. Other there is side cost license. Yes, people. License, you don't know what it is. Simple legal. Yeah, what do you have about a licensing idea? License now, like, basically. Then what is the idea? Like, license now, like, you after license, now the software license. What do you have about So license is a simple legal rule book that explains what you are allowed and not allowed to do with a piece of paper, like using, sharing, or changing it. So system Wikipedia, you can check it out. So what's the first thing you will just like creating a report? What's the first thing you will do after creating a report? So developers are here. Book that explains what you are allowed. Yeah, next answer. What? Yeah, okay. Then, so what's it? Okay. So, next slide. So, what's the first thing you will assume while cloning the repo? You got repo clone. What's the first thing you will assume? Open source. Then next, what do you will assume? It's free. Yeah, that's the thing. So most of them would like another round for round to pay the ground. But licensing by cloning the repo. You got repo clone. What's the first thing you assume? Harm it. Doesn't know, as a module, like a modules in the license, there's a biggest question because there's a glibc modules. As per glibc, everyone knows glibc modules. Like glibc modules are licensed. You must properly show the license. You license use you will properly show. Otherwise, there's a company called RP, they will sue you. It's a very constrained. So there are many licenses. So next slide. You must properly show the license. There are many licensing. They have different families. Today we are just going to see about permission license, copyright license, and we can have some glimpse of it. Because if I explain this whole thing, theory class so I won't want to like good thing. So next slide. There are many licensing. So what is permission? Today we are just going to see about permission license, copyright license. You most of the guys told about MIT license. Most of the MIT is used potentially here. So what is permission? Like meaning permission.
You can go and do whatever.
Yeah. So most of the permission license mostly is for MIT, BSc class and Apache Super. Because Apache Super, just keep in mind MIT license. MIT license is like if you are using MIT license, you are saying like the code and the coding layer. Is this giving this? I don't care what you yeah. So most of the permission license mostly is for MIT, BSc class and Apache Super. I'm just doing my name because I have a doubt. I asked him the researcher. He told me why GitHub is promoting MIT license. He told there are some things going up, man, because they are changing the bias, the ecosystem bias. So he told me there was something was happening. So I not in the proper proof, so I can't speak with them. அது பேச முடியாது சொன்னாங்க. ஸோ பிஎஸ்டி ப்ராசஸ் சேம் அதே மாதிரி இது MIT மாதிரி தான், பட் இட் ஹேவ் சம் டிஃபரன்ஸ். லைக் சேம் தான் எக்ஸிஸ்டிங் நேம் இவங்க நேமே போடாதுன்னு சொல்றாங்க. இன்னொரு ப்ராஜெக்ட் ப்ரீவியஸ் ப்ராஜெக்ட் நாங்கள் வந்து டிஎஸ்டி கிளாஸ் யூஸ் பண்ணிருக்கோம். ஸோ டிஎஸ்டி கிளாஸ் லைசன்ஸ் பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் எங்கள் டெவலப்பர்ஸ் வந்து இங்கே எதனாலும் போட பண்ணிக்கலாம், பட் எங்கள்கிட்ட வந்து கேட்கக்கூடாது. யூ ஜஸ்ட் மேனேஜ் த பக்ஸ், செக்யூரிட்டி பக்ஸை மேனேஜ் பண்ணணும் சொல்லுவோம். ஸோ இது கிவ் யூ டோட்டல் ஃப்ரீடம். நீங்கள் ப்ரொப்ரைட்டரி யூஸ் பண்ணிக்கலாம். Many software are in MIT license and PhD license. Around in GitHub, 44% of the projects are in MIT license. So if you want to start a code, the business select a project, just clone it, use it. It's like a good opportunity. So I just did an article in Hacker News. A guy just cloned Goose something. Goose, yes, he cloned it and he made around some couple of dollars. They're doing it. It's like a good opportunity. So I just did an article in Hacker News because the guy just cloned Goose. The idea about MIT license is so they are not exploiting it, they are using it, utilizing it. So license is the main player. Because it has created so much of controversy everywhere. So Apache license is like freedom of MIT or freedom and we have the production of legal patent productions. Example, can I volunteer you? I can give example in that way. Yeah, so like if you are cooking biryani, like I want to help you, but you have a secret sauce with you. Secret sauce. So what I'm doing, I was working with you, I was contributing, I was helping you. So later you will just give me the rights to the rights of the secret source. That's the thing is Apache. Like if any project is under Apache license, if you contribute it, you can have the legal protection against it. But you have a secret source with you. So Apache license is one of the most business friendly license overall in the industry. Like it is used in many so much of the projects. Many of the projects are like many of the commercial projects are using Apache license. It's like if any project is under Apache license, Kubernetes is in Apache, CNC has some of the couple of projects are in Apache license, and you know about Apache Spark. Apache Spark is official database. Apache Airflow, Astronomer, Apache Lucene, Elasticsearch. Because Apache Elasticsearch, they are the core contributors of the Apache Lucene. They do the vector DBs, like vector search features, and Astronomer, and Confluence, Apache. Like if you contribute to the code, you will have the legal rights. And you know about Apache Spark. So it's one of the features of the Apache license. So guys, I have a doubt here. Apache Lucene, Elasticsearch, no problem. I mean, you can see that also no problem. You can ask about it. They do the vector DBs. Yeah, during everything was fine. Like open source was going so good at the early days. How will you know about Sun Microsystems? Sun Microsystems. Sun Microsystems in the early days they promoted open source to the company. Like they gave Solaris, Java, and many other products. After Oracle has acquired them, the landscape has changed totally. So I'm asking question, you are working with Jenkins. Sun Microsystems. Jenkins. Pipeline, yeah. Does Jenkins have any old name? And many other products. Does Jenkins have any old name? Jenkins was a fork. So just Hudson. Yeah, Hudson. So Jenkins was Hudson was introduced in 2004. Oracle was asking a trademark. If you Jenkins has Geo payers, like if not you have use Hudson payers. So the community has voted and they have changed the name to Jenkins. So there are many issues. Oracle they have just aggressively hurted many of the guys. Another example is Java APIs. There was the biggest controversy going on Java APIs. So there's two companies involved, IBM and Oracle. Oracle has joined the race and they bought the Sun Microsystems. And they were very eager to promote the Java APIs for license. So it was the biggest controversy. It was a peak. There was the biggest controversy going on Java APIs. IBM and Oracle has joined the race and they bought the Sun Microsystems. And next thing is Oracle is still studying the case. There's a framework இருக்கு. ஒரு tool இருக்கு. அந்த tool வச்சு சென்னையில இருக்கிற கம்யூனிட்டி இருக்கு.
Yeah, they have a open JDK differently, and J2 came out from. Who's the inventor of Java? Our also very long time.
And next thing is, they told us that your smart told you the tool. You told the tool when you introduced JS. They are having patent rights. Still they have literally. So what are you thinking? If you are suing against JS, I must give some evidence. What is the evidence? So those it's like. So it's evidence. So it's evidence of this. They are suing us right now. So what are you thinking? Are you suing how they can use our trademark logo? Right? How can they use it in a? So there's still the conversation going on. Chennai, if Oracle was touched something, they won't. This case must be going within 1 year. These guys are still touching it.
No, license issue on the give you an example how bad it is now. Disney had that இது டிக்கெட் எடுத்து போயிருந்தாங்க ஆப்ல இன்ஸ்டால் பண்ணிட்டு அதுக்கு சொன்ன எதுனா லைசன்ஸ்ல இங்க வந்து அக்செப்ட் பண்ணிருக்காங்க அந்த ஸ்டாப் இன்ஸ்டால் பண்ணி ஜஸ்ட் கிளிக் சம் லிங்க்ஸ் அதனால வந்து தி கான்ஃபிடன்ஸ் அகைன் டிரா பண்ணிட்டாங்க சோ அந்த அளவுக்கு வேற
சோ எக்ஸாம்பிள் your company நீ JS எல்லாம் டெவலப் பண்ணிருக்கற I was asking you as a legal compliance staff நான் கேக்குறேன் நீ JS யூஸ் பண்ணிருக்கற ஆடிட்ல so you pay me I will not ask you அவன் business model மோசமா இருக்கும் அதனால வந்து லைக் எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்றேன் 5 servers I was using Oracle software in one server so I must pay over 5 servers your company then then either one asking you see man they are like only the ranker like they are mostly like you they are killing it so next slide there is an initiative called free JavaScript you just type it you can sign like you can support பண்ணலாம் sign பண்ணி you can support it நீங்க like the open source trademark வந்து ரிலீஸ் பண்ணி support பண்ணலாம் around 26000 developers have been sign பண்ணிருக்காங்க so just contribute to it so we can make ecosystem far more good you edit out until you can sign like you can support பண்ணலாம் sign பண்ணி you can support it நீங்க like the open source they will அடுத்து like they will pull it up like நிறைய இது வைக்கணும் because they are just taking out JavaScript TMA வச்சு அவங்க இந்த அளவு பண்றாங்கன்னா after they want means they will edit out until sign like you can support பண்ணலாம் companies this issue they will JavaScript
the name trademark தான் நீங்க trademark ஓபன் பண்ணீங்கன்னா வேற you have to pay some royalty so big revenue model பார்த்து யாரோட வீடியோ உழைப்பையோ எடுத்து அவங்க யூஸ் பண்றாங்க
so like permission license has so much issues so now does you guys got view about permission license what's what are the things are it's interesting and what are the things that integrating your projects so use the license carefully so don't use the license as much as like don't use ChatGPT for using selling the license அது இருக்கே தப்பா சொல்றேன் so copyleft license is total opposite to copyright நீங்க ஒரு சேஞ்ச் ஆகும் அது வந்து என்ன சொல்றது நீங்க ஒரு கோட் பேஸ் சேஞ்ச் பண்ணிருக்கீங்கன்னா it will force you to share the code base உங்க கோட் பேஸ்ல நீங்க சேஞ்சஸ் நடந்திருக்குன்னா it will ask you to force share பண்ண சொல்லுங்க so it's a copyleft license you must share the change under same license நீங்க ஷேர் பண்ணணும் so can you do this நீங்க ஒரு சேஞ்ச் copyleft license has மேஜரா இந்த மூணு சொல்லுவாங்க GPL v2 GPL v3 AGPL v3 so GPL v2 வந்து it's mostly used by Linux kernel you must share the change under same license நீங்க ஷேர் GPL v3 is used by Tamil Tech the thing is GPL v2 has a major loophole like if you are if I was using Asus laptop has a regular vendor locking that code can be injected in Linux kernel they can't ask because there is a specific section or specific topic underneath. So GPL V3 will GPL V3 will lot of issues. You underline use from there also. But there is a biggest loophole in GPL V2 Linux kernel. Have you heard about internal management engine? Yeah. Specific topic underneath. Business adoption. It's kind of spy or backdoor. This still the date the code is available here. Linux kernel. It's a vendor locking code. So it's a backdoor over there. Still the code is in the Linux kernel. You drivers file and the PCA file போனீங்கன்னா you can still see the code over there. அங்க internal management engine-ஓட backdoor code இருக்குது. So the license was upgraded because GPL with the காரணமே code along busy box some tools busy box yeah. Busy box also abused it was used to be without noticing the copy Samsung use பண்ணாங்க Samsung many companies used it but they not share the not contributed to it. So it's created some biggest issues in the electronic industry in western side. So because of that thing GPL V3 was introduced. So உங்களுக்கு paid attention you can have the vendor login இருக்காது but they not share the not contributed to it. So it's created some biggest issues in the electronic industry in still some guys are use பண்றாங்க. Because of that thing GPL V3 was introduced. So உங்களுக்கு paid attention you can have there are major areas gap இருக்காது. It has a major loophole. These two licenses just tell about other desktop network பத்தி சொல்லிக்க மாட்டாங்க. So it has a networks are in GPL V2 and V3. You can use it as so many of the guys are used it Linux and நிறைய யூஸ் பண்ணாங்க. Example has a major loophole. அந்த Red Hat SAS யூஸ் பண்றாங்க. So they not mention this. So networks are in GPL V2 and V3 Tamilnadu.tech. You can use this GPL இது கீழ இருக்கு because அதுக்கு நான் கோட் எடுத்து மாத்தி GPL V3 வந்து it's you can use my code but even if it runs on a server you must share the source. So it's saying the என் கோட் யூஸ் பண்ணிக்கலாம் serverல but you must share the source. அது யூசருக்கு ஷேர் பண்ணனும்னு சொல்றாங்க. So GPL V3 is one of powerful license. So guys, you have a doubt in the GPL 2 and V3. GPL V3 வந்து are you have faced any situations you can use my code but even if it runs on a server
why that Linux stays in GPL? You don't take out to V3.
There are some guys telling about அவங்க வந்து பழைய மெயின்டனன்ஸ்ல ரிமூவ் ஆயிட்டான்னு சொன்னாங்க. There when I was spoke to one of my Kerala பேசினா he was in early days ரொம்ப earlier once Linux store okay India Kerala தான் வந்தாங்க. So one thing happened, he told me, now the particular the code base was totally different. Now some code base has changed. The code base, the login, everything has changed. So I know about Red Hat. Red Hat promoted system. There's KD plus master. In terms of KD plus mailings of like Red Hat, it's a developers are another. So if you want to use system key, you KD plus use பண்ணனும்னா you must have system in the system. So அவங்க வந்து அந்த ecosystem-ஐயே they change into as a vendor locking மாதிரி கேக்குறாங்க. So it's still arising because most of the products in our relation system. So there's ecosystem vendor locking மாதிரி இருக்கு. But he told me because of that thing we are moved. நிறைய பேர் மூவ் ஆயிட்டாங்கன்னு சொன்னாங்க. Now most of the developers are in kernel level Qualcomm and ARM அந்த most இருக்காங்க. So they are our product is very changing because most of the products. So it's like kernel project is okay, but while developers have been fast developing, so they face some issues. Another issue is after some couple of developers has came in, the name was in Russian. Some name was so different. They think of the basis. எங்க ப்ராஜெக்ட்ல இருக்க ஒருத்தர் he was a fast contributor. He told me report பண்ணாங்க. So there are some issues over there. Still, some of them tell us corporate influence அதிகமாயிட்டு ஏரோபேஸ் வந்து ரொம்ப இன்ஃப்ளூயன்ஸ் போட்டுருக்காங்க. So it's creating some huge issues out there. But it's going on. Like now Russia வந்து கொஞ்சம் issues போயிட்டு. So many companies use GCPL, especially Elasticsearch used Apache. Like these companies are change their license, they become to closed source. Like closed source in case source only available. that is going on. Like now, rush to so, what's your thought to closed source? Closed source போனவங்க suggestion என்ன? Like what do you view? MongoDB வந்து open source ஒரு காலத்துல யூஸ் பண்ணாங்க. Around 2017 it was fully open source. What's your view about it?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Because AWS and all these hyperscalers build their own products.
What's your thought? Yeah. Like when I was reading to some couple of like what do you view? MongoDB வந்து open source ஒரு காலத்துல யூஸ் பண்ணாங்க. Like Elastic Redis, any projects. So I spoke to some of the engineers over
All these hyperscalers build their own
Elasticsearch.
products.
So every client has two sides. So everyone is taking the one side of the story and they're deciding it. Like the project போன காரணம் இதுதான். So they're not changing like இன்னொரு side போக மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க. So it's a lacking over there. So next slide. So what is this? I spoke to some of the engineers over what is simulated?
Dynamics.
So every client has two sides. So everyone is taking the story. So you know the dynamic. And you know the ballistic bullets. So the power mechanism, you know the So every story has two sides. This story looks so interesting. So let's check it out. So metaphorically connecting to Elasticsearch. Can you move slide? Next slide. Yeah, Elasticsearch was one of the interesting research I've done because it was so lengthy and it was so interesting. So Elasticsearch version was introduced on 2010 and the company was founded on 2012. Amazon வந்து acquire பண்ணி collaborate பண்ணாம they have just ported and they have started selling the service. So 2016 what is happening from their separate one service they earned around $2.6 million. It's very legit. Founded on 2012. Say Amazon. It's legit. Exploitation. And they brought another tool called open source. If you see open search, literally open search technical depth is not running in Apache using Apache using but the vector search was done by another one search vector engine. It's called FOSS. So அவங்க ஏதோ பண்ணணும்னு they are like spreading some other things. So open source is used as a community for driven Apache license வச்சாங்க but it was in the like open search tech stack was totally different. Elasticsearch and open search was totally different. So at 2004 அவங்க ஏதோ பண்ணணும் triple license was introduced. Like Elastic வந்து license change பண்ணாங்க. Like they came to AGPL Elastic's license, it's like a software license, and they moved to SSPL. So next slide, can you? So SSPL is like it was introduced by MongoDB because MongoDB was so affected by AWS. Like they harmed them like a document DB put on the so what thing was happening around SSPL is like if I was having a server with me, I was running. So SSPL is like a server like almost start open source because MongoDB also so same as in the case நீங்க ஒரு மெக்கானிசம் பிரைவேட் லாகின் வச்சிருப்பீங்கல்ல லைக் ஒரு மெக்கானிசம் வச்சிருப்பீங்க பைப்லைன் எல்லாமே ஓபன் சோர்ஸ் இருக்கும் so it's like so somewhat அவங்க வந்து அக்செப்ட் பண்ணல but some guys told about it there is a license updated version of AGPL with it because every license நீங்க எல்லா license யாரா license கிரியேட் பண்ணலாம் but the license will be approved by these guys OSI அவங்க தான் they will set the license they will approve it and many cases were roaming around when OSI was when the elastic issue was happening around many of them asked questions why OSI is not taking any act so actually I spoke to another guy other one past employee of AWS he told me Amazon has some other corporates has come tied up with this OSI so they won't make it less acceptable still it's there but they told me there's a lack of proof but they told me they shared about some certain documentations two things so so the opposite is a totally different thing OS is totally different thing you ரெண்டு கூட பாப்பாதீங்க because opposite is like அவங்க லிவர் சாப்பிட மாட்டாங்க இருக்கு but it's like business oriented உங்களுக்கு like business friendly இல்லங்க if I was using நீங்க ஸ்டாக் வச்சிருக்கீங்க அந்த ஸ்டாக் வந்து நான் நீங்க சாஃப்ட்வேர் பண்ணி SSPL ல போட்டுருக்கேன் உங்கள்கிட்ட இருக்க எல்லா ஸ்டாக்கையும் நீங்க வந்து ஓப்பன் சோர்ஸ் ஆகிக்கணும். ஸோ அப்புறம் காம்படிட்டிவ் அதை காப்பி பண்ணி முடிஞ்சு ஃப்ரீடம் இருக்கு. பட் இட்ஸ் லைக் பிசினஸ் சப்போர்ட் பண்ற மாதிரி இருக்கு. அவங்க ஃபீல் பண்ணாங்க many things and they told other thing in AGPL V3 section 13 there is a thing called the OKR போட்டுருந்தாங்க. பட் many of them opposed it. இது வந்து அவங்க லைக் பிசினஸ் ஓரியண்டா இருக்கறதுனால they are not forcing it. லைக் அவங்க வந்து லைசென்ஸ் கொடுக்குறது அக்செப்ட் பண்ண மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க. So many of the companies are like upon this OS initiative. Many companies are like funding section 13 there is a so kindly don't use LLM AIs to decide your license. கொடுத்தீங்க அவ்வளவுதான். அது வேற கஷ்டம். It's like yeah, there is a source which used to work in choose license. You just take a screenshot and scan me. You just so kindly don't use LLM AIs to decide your license. கொடுத்தீங்க அவ்வளவுதான். அது வேற கஷ்டம். It's like yeah, there is a source which used to work in choose license. You just take a screenshot and scan me. You just yeah. Have you guys scanned it? Yeah. What's it? Have you guys scanned it? Yeah. Okay. Any questions around the license? Do you understand it? Pull that.
Then it's a decentralized network, right? Even the internet in the first place. So at that point, it's just based on the government enforcement. It comes down to that. And new to this, this source code stuff. I'm just asking if somebody has, 1,000 lines of code and that's they haven't read that piece of software, it belongs to them. You were telling that if that was based on the type of license, if that is used somewhere, if you pay royalty to me or